My fiancé asked if I'd agree to a 3-person wedding ceremony the day before the wedding. His first love was dying, and her only wish was to marry him. I refused immediately and slapped him twice. But he said, "Emily just wants a wedding, that's all. How about 5 million? I turned around quickly, 10 million. The money isn't important, I just like to be accommodating. 6 months ago, my mom, Linda, asked me, "Sarah, do you want to marry into a wealthy family?" I didn't hesitate for a second, nodding frantically. I'd had enough of comparing prices for every single grocery item. Although wealthy families were a deep pool, it was better than what I had now. Even if it didn't work out and I divorced, I should still get some money, right? If I could secure the future by having a child, I could just live comfortably for the rest of my life. My mom, Linda, continued, "But you'll need to sign a prenuptial agreement. The kind where you don't get much money if you divorce." I hesitated. Sure enough, getting into a wealthy family wasn't easy, and getting a good deal was even harder. A pauper returns, still a pauper. My mom, Linda, then said, "They can give you 50,000 in allowance a month." 50,000? Suddenly, signing a prenuptial agreement felt perfectly normal. Anyway, 50,000 was enough for me. Right now, I work from 9 to 9, making only 8,000 a month. I couldn't save 50,000 in a whole year. I felt like I could do this. When are we getting legally married? Can I have half of the wedding gifts? Also, are they giving a bridal settlement? Is the groom an old baby? If he's too old, I think you could just divorce and remarry. My mom, Linda's face instantly darkened. She grabbed my forehead and poked it. He's not an old man, just a young guy of 30. Bridal settlement is 1.68 million. Forget about the wedding gifts. Do you want this or not? If not, I'll give it to my cousin. Of course, I wanted it. How could I not? I wasn't someone who hated the rich. Whether old man or young guy, he was my good baby. I'll marry him anytime. Even if he's 3 feet tall, weighs 10 pounds, and has a face full of pimples, I'll marry him with my eyes closed. Anyway, in the dark, everyone's the same. At worst, I'd secretly adopt a few godbrothers. My mom, Linda, rolled her eyes. You think rich people don't pick and choose wives? If they didn't pick, would you even have a chance? They need a good match who brings good fortune to the family, someone highly educated, with a dignified and graceful appearance. My mom, Linda, listed many things. Finally, she summarized, not short, not fat, not ugly. I was completely relieved. I was getting this 50,000. The next day, I met Robert Sterling. He looked okay, but he had a dark expression the whole time, not a single smile. I didn't care at all. After hearing one sentence, I was grinning from ear to ear. Whether he was happy or not wasn't important. What was important was that starting this month, he would be giving me an allowance. 50,000 a month. With just that 50,000, I felt like I could live with him forever. A week later, Robert Sterling took me to meet his family. His grandma Eleanor Sterling liked me and gave me a diamond bracelet. When I looked it up later, it was worth millions. If I had a baby, she'd probably reward me with a fortune, dollar amount. I was set on marrying into this wealthy family, no one was going to stop me. Later, I learned that Grandma Eleanor Sterling held the highest status in the Sterling family. So, I liked to visit her whenever I had nothing else to do. Grandma Eleanor Sterling still kept the lovely tradition of giving gold pieces/nuggets to the younger generation. Whenever she was happy, she'd grab a handful of gold pieces/nuggets for me. So, my jewelry box was filled with gold pieces/nuggets. Grandma Eleanor Sterling was very traditional in her beliefs, and the biggest reason I could marry into the Sterling family was that I was a good match who brought good fortune to the family. Indeed, the old saying was right, you have to believe in fate. When it's your time to make money, no one can stop you. My interactions with Robert Sterling were very plain. We had 2 dates a week, dinner and a movie, then we ended our separate ways. He didn't touch me. I was happy to be comfortable. Anyway, 50,000 a month was deposited into my card on time. Lately, I have been studying up on high society, reading dozens of novels about wealthy families. I summarized 6 points. 5 months later, the Sterling family gave 8.88 million in a bridal settlement. They had initially said 1.68 million. But Grandma Eleanor Sterling thought it was too little and wanted to give 10 million. Finally, they found a master to calculate, and 8.88 million was deemed most suitable. That day, I went and bought 3 commercial properties, which would bring in 60,000 in rent every month. The day before the wedding, Robert Sterling came to find me. According to tradition, the bride and groom shouldn't see each other before the wedding. So, I talked to him through the door. I wasn't that superstitious, but Grandma Eleanor Sterling had instructed me several times, and I had to listen to her. After all, she was my benefactor now. Is something wrong? The person outside the door's voice was trembling. Emily is sick. She doesn't have much time left. I knew who Emily was. His high school deskmate, his first love. After high school graduation, Emily went abroad to study. Later, Emily found a guy with dyed hair, and they officially broke up. Robert Sterling was depressed for 6 months, then entered Sterling Enterprises for an internship. He hadn't dated anyone since. Being with me was just to complete a task. I wasn't dating him, I was working. For me, it was a job that paid $50,000 a month and had the potential for extra perks. I cherished it. So, I sighed and started comforting Robert Sterling. Medical standards are very high now. If you find a few more experts, she'll be cured. As long as he didn't ask me to provide postpartum care for Emily, I could still accept it. If he offered a lot more, I could even learn to be a confinement nanny. Making money is nothing to be ashamed of. After a long while, Robert Sterling spoke. Emily's only wish is to marry me. But Grandma won't agree to cancel our wedding. Sarah, are you willing to have a 3-person wedding ceremony? I didn't want to give up that $50,000 in allowance. But having a 3-person wedding ceremony? I wasn't happy about that. Money was important, but I still had some pride. It was Robert Sterling's fault anyway, so I wouldn't be returning the bridal settlement. I had 3 commercial properties bringing in rent. I could still live comfortably. Impossible. I don't agree. Robert Sterling's voice turned cold. Why wouldn't you agree? Don't you want the allowance? Don't you want the properties? I instantly got angry. He wanted me to return the allowance and the bridal settlement, too? Impossible. Once it entered my pocket, it wasn't going back out. I opened the door and slapped him twice. Is it my fault I don't want to marry? I won't return a single cent. I'm going to complain to Grandma Eleanor Sterling right now. I said it righteously. Robert Sterling panicked. How about 5 million? Just 5 million? I'm in Chicago, or a major city. I can see a long string of countless zeros anytime. Okay. 5 million? No one would do that. I blinked innocently. 10 million. The money isn't important, I just like to be accommodating. No one would do that. But I would. Anyway, it was a wedding. What was wrong with one more person? And the other person was dying. I should be more understanding. Okay. Robert Sterling agreed quickly, very decisively. I instantly felt depressed. I asked for too little. I lost big time. Maybe if I had asked for 50 million, he would have agreed. Sigh, he didn't even bargain with me, no sense of accomplishment at all. Even though I got 10 million, I just felt like I lost out. I was about to change my mind and renegotiate the terms. Robert Sterling seemed to read my thoughts. That's enough. 10 million isn't a small amount. I immediately put on a fake smile. Look at you, saying things like that. Am I that kind of person? Emily isn't well, I'll let her stand in the center seat position. Or maybe you should prepare a chair, so she doesn't get tired. As long as it made me money, Emily could also be my benefactor. Once I earn enough money, I won't care what anyone thinks. Robert Sterling was finally satisfied when he heard what I said. Sarah, you're quite practical sometimes. As long as you behave well, I'll add a $20,000 bonus to your allowance every month. Was there a good thing like this? My eyes lit up. I hoped Emily would be healthy and live a long life, so I could keep getting the bonus. I patted my chest and said, don't worry, I'll be very gentle with her. If she likes it, I can be her close friend. Robert Sterling finally showed a smile. Very good. Tomorrow, you absolutely must help keep Grandma calm. As long as our wedding ceremony is successful, I'll give you another 1 million. The Sterling family was really rich. My eyes turned red. Alright, that's the least I can do. Also, when will the 10 million be deposited? As long as the full amount wasn't in my account, I wouldn't lift a finger. Me? I could handle anything, but I couldn't stand losing out. Robert Sterling's mouth twitched. Don't worry, it will be deposited within 10 minutes. You won't be short a single cent. That's good. I still trusted the Sterling family. They wouldn't run away because of this amount of money. Robert Sterling looked intently into my eyes. Tomorrow, please take good care of Emily. I know you're a good person. Otherwise, I wouldn't have agreed to marry you. Gee, thanks. I didn't know where he got the idea that I was a good person. If he wasn't paying so much, would I be this easy to talk to? It's the least I can do. Don't worry, I'm very self-aware. Robert Sterling was satisfied. Just as he was about to leave, I stopped him. Wait, tell me more about Emily's preferences. I'll do my best to accommodate her. After all, the money hadn't arrived yet. How could he leave? Robert Sterling nodded in agreement. He sat on the sofa, took a sip of coffee, and prepared to tell me about her. Emily is great, she's very gentle. He said a bunch of nonsense. I was getting sleepy listening to him. A ding sound. It was the sound of a bank deposit. I instantly woke up. After carefully verifying the amount, I interrupted the man who was talking nonstop. Don't worry, I'll be on your side tomorrow. Emily is probably still waiting for you. You should go back quickly. Robert Sterling was startled for a moment, then gave an awkward smile. All right, you should rest early. I'll head back now. After Robert Sterling left, I lay in bed and stared at my bank balance for a long time. The countless zeros made my eyes swim. Just because of this, I wouldn't blush no matter how much those relatives laughed at me tomorrow. They were just jealous that I was marrying well. However, I still needed to give my mom, Linda, and dad, David, a heads up. They absolutely couldn't mess up my good thing. The Sterling family wedding was held at a luxury hotel. I stayed in the presidential suite while my mom, Linda, and dad, David, went off to have fun with friends. I called dad, David, directly. As expected, dad, David, disagreed. Before I could even finish, he started scolding me. Sarah, we're not getting married. Dad will sup. Port you your whole life, worst case. I said faintly. Robert Sterling gave me 10 million to agree to this wedding ceremony. The other side instantly fell silent. After a long while, Dad, David, said weakly, she's dying, we should just be more understanding. First lesson of high society, turn a blind eye, focus on the money. I knew this would happen. We're cut from the same cloth. Our family loves money, we would never go against it. After I transferred 1 million to each of my parents, Dad, David's laughter was unstoppable. Finally, he said, Sarah, Dad will definitely behave well tomorrow and won't hold you back. My mom, Linda, was very calm. I think you did the right thing. I support any decision you make. After hanging up, I checked the balance a few more times before happily drifting off to sleep. It was truly a pleasant day. At 4 in the morning, the bridesmaid came in with the makeup artist and stylist. I closed my eyes and let them do my makeup. When I woke up, I was surrounded by a group of people. Mom, Linda, and Dad, David, looked at me with relief. Sarah is so beautiful. Dad, David's eyes were red. Sarah, you must be happy. Money means happiness, so I would be happy. My mom, Linda, gave me a look, and then I saw a woman. She was also wearing a wedding dress, and the gems on her neck were blinding. Instantly, I realized it was Emily. This was our first meeting, and it was a bit awkward. Robert Sterling didn't tell me we were getting picked up together. I thought it would just be the three of us on stage. 10 million wasn't easy to get. I smiled at her. Hello sister, you're so pretty. Robert Sterling has great taste. Excellent, killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Emily was the girl next door type. I thought she was very ordinary, definitely far less attractive than me. Robert Sterling was seeing through rose-tinted glasses. I didn't understand it, but I respected it. Emily showed a smile. Thank you. You said me trouble today, and there might be a lot more things I'll need your help with in the future. Hearing that, the 10 million suddenly didn't feel as appealing. I was someone who hated trouble, and she said there would be a lot more things. I replied with a smile, Robert Sterling cherishes you so much, how could he bear to let you do anything? Although it felt a bit immoral, all I wanted was to get the money, not the work. Emily smiled even more happily. At 8 o'clock sharp, Robert Sterling knocked on the door. Emily looked excited, while I was expressionless, feeling nothing inside. I even wanted the wedding ceremony to end quickly. After all, not many people enjoyed working. Robert Sterling's eyes were glued to Emily. If it weren't for the occasion, it would have been a scene of passion. Robert Sterling wanted to reminisce with Emily, but he had an assistant with him. He could only obediently go through the procedure. Robert Sterling gave Emily an apologetic look. Then, he followed me and knelt before my mom, Linda, and dad, David. Emily quietly mumbled from the side, you're so lucky, you have your parents' blessings. Unlike me, my parents passed away, I'm all alone. And I'm going to die too. The smile I had forced onto my face disappeared. Any little bit of sympathy I had for her instantly vanished. I looked up at Emily. Oh, you're so miserable. But you have Robert Sterling's love, you must be very satisfied, right? You're getting married today, why aren't you smiling? Aren't you happy? Emily's face instantly turned red. I didn't know if it was from anger or happiness. Robert Sterling pulled her aside and talked for a bit. When they returned, Emily quietly watched us go through the procedure. The 10 million had been deposited. If I made a scene, Robert Sterling would suffer a huge loss. I wasn't afraid at all. At worst, both sides would go down in flames. My relatives were quite cooperative, saying lots of well wishes while holding gift envelopes. Mom, Linda, and Dad, David, must have briefed them beforehand. Some were watching the show, but more were envious. In the wedding car, Robert Sterling sat in the middle, I sat to his right, and Emily lay in his arms. This scene was a bit awkward. I looked at the diamond-encrusted bouquet worth $10,000 and almost drooled. The thought of throwing it later made me sad. I heard that the bouquet alone was worth $10,000. The Sterling family used real diamonds for appearance's sake. I didn't want to throw it, I wanted to keep it as a memento. Just then, Emily said in a soft, fragile voice, "Robert, why isn't Sarah talking to us? Does she dislike me?" "Robert, I'm so nervous." "Me?" I was a little speechless. I blinked my innocent eyes and asked, "How should I talk to you? By lying in your Robert's arms, too?" Robert Sterling looked at me in disbelief. He didn't expect me to say something like that. His eyes even showed a hint of anticipation. Emily immediately sat up. Her expression changed. "I knew you must like Robert. After all, he's so excellent. But I'm dying, can you give me 2 years? 2 years?" My heart sank. 2 years was too long, too many variables. I thought it would only be a few months. I had to tolerate her for 2 more years. Just thinking about it was tiring. Money wasn't easy to earn. It's okay, it's okay. For every extra month she lived, I could get an extra 20,000 bonus. Thinking that way, I felt better again. Sure, not just 2 years, you can have him for life. Between money and a man, I would choose money with my eyes closed. Emily looked smug. She tightly hugged Robert Sterling. "Robert, I only have you." I closed my eyes and pretended to sleep, silently chanting, 50,000 salary, 20,000 bonus. "Sarah, you have to focus on the money." 2 hours later, we arrived at the hotel. Emily stayed in the car. She wanted to go in with us, but Robert Sterling comforted her for a long time before she agreed to stay. She didn't even think. If she went in with us, could she still have the wedding ceremony? The Sterling family would stop her. After getting out of the car, Robert Sterling held my hand and walked towards the hotel entrance. My back felt hot. I turned my head and saw Emily staring intently at where we were holding hands. It was just holding hands, and she couldn't stand it? What about when we kiss later? Would she hit me? If she did, I'd have to play the victim. No less than 5 million, or I wouldn't forgive him. Oh, just thinking about it made me excited. Grandma Eleanor Sterling came to greet us with a group of people. Her face was beaming. "Sarah, you look so beautiful today. Grandma is your backer. If Robert dares to make you suffer, I'll beat him to death." Robert Sterling could barely keep the smile on his face. Because Grandma Eleanor Sterling really would beat him. I smiled and said, "Grandma, you're so kind. Because of you, I have the confidence to marry into the Sterling family." Grandma Eleanor Sterling nodded with a face full of relief. Robert Sterling kept giving me looks, afraid I would say something disadvantageous to them. As long as they didn't provoke me, I still had some moral standards. With the money received, the job had to be done. I helped Grandma Eleanor Sterling and smiled sweetly, looking very well behaved. Grandma Eleanor Sterling was even more satisfied. At noon, the wedding ceremony began. I walked arm in arm with Dad, David, wearing a proper smile. "Dad," David mumbled, "daughter, men aren't reliable. We have to focus on the money. You must be happy. If you feel wronged later, hide behind Dad. I'm here, don't be afraid." I wasn't afraid at all. I was the victim, what was there to be afraid of? As long as I acted well, Grandma Eleanor Sterling would compensate me even more. Just thinking about it made me happy. I didn't love Robert Sterling anyway. What was there to feel wronged about? I gave Dad, David, a reassuring look. Just then, the host announced the bride's entrance, and Emily suddenly appeared beside me. The relatives and friends in the audience looked excited. I heard them talking about stealing the bride, waiting to watch the show/drama. Grandma Eleanor Sterling's face didn't look good. She wanted the security guards to stop her, but Emily was already walking towards the platform. I quietly asked Dad, David, "Do we stand still, or follow her? This is my first time getting married, I don't know what to do." Something like this was rare, even in the whole country. Dad, David, straightened his back, his face full of indignation. He looked quite convincing. "Of course, we have to go up. Are you nearsighted? How am I supposed to watch the show/drama from this far away?" Well done. He truly was my dad, David. So, we marched towards the platform with the stance of being ready for a big fight. Robert Sterling held Emily's hand in one hand and snatched the microphone from the host with the other. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, please allow me to proudly introduce the lady beside me. This is my first love, and we would like to receive your blessings. Grandma Eleanor Sterling could barely stand and looked like she might faint at any moment. Richard Sterling roared in anger, "Rebellious son, you wouldn't dare." Emily's eyes were red, as if she had suffered immense injustice. Robert Sterling's heart ached for her. He looked at Emily affectionately and said seriously, "I love Emily. She's dying, and marrying me is her only wish. I don't want her to have any regrets. I can accept the marriage you arranged for me, but please accept Emily too. She doesn't want a title/formal status. She's truly a very, very good person." The scene erupted in an uproar. Some people started to sympathize with Emily and told me to be more understanding. I, who hadn't said a word, felt completely innocent/unfairly accused. I forced myself to look at Grandma Eleanor Sterling and shook my head at her. Grandma Eleanor Sterling's expression finally improved slightly. She was helped onto the stage by Richard Sterling and Carol Sterling. "Robert Sterling, do you know what you're doing? You've disappointed me so much. Why didn't you discuss this with us? This is a wedding ceremony, not a game. Now, tell everyone that this was just a joke." A trace of hesitation flickered across Robert Sterling's face. Emily panicked. She tightly grabbed Robert Sterling's hand. "Robert, don't abandon me. Now, I only have you." Robert Sterling's hesitant gaze became firm again. He gently patted Emily's hand to comfort her. "Don't be afraid. I'm here, no one can bully you." He turned to Grandma Eleanor Sterling. "Would discussing it help? You would never agree to me marrying Emily. She's already so pitiful, can't you be more understanding? Sarah hasn't even objected. Can't you support us?" Robert Sterling gave me a look, asking for help. Instantly, everyone looked at me. 10 million wasn't easy to earn. Dad, David, stood in front of me, looking coldly at Robert Sterling. "How do you expect her to object? Even your own family can't control you, what can she do?" My eyes sparkled as I looked at Dad, David. "Talk more, please." Anyway, I was the one who got the 10 million. What did it have to do with Dad, David? Robert Sterling wanted to shift the blame onto me. I instantly became unhappy and pretended not to hear, hiding behind Dad, David, and acting heartbroken. I didn't care about the $20,000 bonus anymore. Grandma Eleanor Sterling looked at me apologetically. She said faintly, "I only recognize Sarah as my granddaughter-in-law. If you're obedient, the entire Sterling family will be yours. If you insist on being a romantic fool, then get out of the Sterling family. Without you, the Sterling family won't fall. But if you have no brains, the Sterling family will eventually collapse." Grandma Eleanor Sterling made so much sense. She truly was the grandma I picked. Robert Sterling's hands were slightly trembling. He was scared. Emily glanced at Robert Sterling, then quickly knelt on the ground. "Grandma, don't blame Robert, it's my fault for wanting too much. Maybe I should just leave." Robert Sterling was heartbroken. He immediately pulled Emily into his arms. "Grandma, Mom, Dad, I agree to leave the Sterling family. Emily only has me." Carol Sterling was trembling with anger. She slapped Robert Sterling across the face. "Do you know she has 2 sons? She sold herself for money and got AIDS. If you leave the Sterling family for someone like that, then I'll pretend I don't have a son like you." Robert Sterling's face went pale. He squeezed Emily's arm tightly. "You have AIDS? Didn't you have breast cancer? Why did you lie to me? I chose to leave the Sterling family for you, and what about you?" Robert Sterling became more and more agitated. Emily looked at Robert Sterling pitifully. "Robert, I'm pregnant. It's your child. I want to give birth to him even if it kills me. This is the crystallization of our love." Robert Sterling shook Emily forcefully. "Why aren't you denying it? Do you have AIDS? What about me? Are you deliberately trying to get revenge on me? You hate that I didn't go to the hospital in time back then, right? But do you know? I was in a car accident then. I was in the hospital for half a year. My mom went to a fortune teller, who said you were bad luck for me. That's why she gave you money to leave. Later, I went looking for you and saw that you had a boyfriend and were very happy. Emily, our family doesn't owe you anything." Wow, this is too exciting. It was more thrilling than the novels I read. Emily collapsed onto the ground, her face full of disbelief. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" She shook her head forcefully. "No, I'm not wrong. It's all your fault. You ruined my life. You knew where I was. Why didn't you come save me?" Her words left everyone present speechless. Richard Sterling looked coldly at Robert Sterling. Is this the kind of girl you were talking about? Now, what's your choice? Instantly, I became nervous. I could be a widow, but I absolutely could not marry Robert Sterling. He was crazy. Money was important, but I was more afraid of dying. It was that simple. Robert Sterling and Emily should just be stuck together. After all, they were true love. I looked intently at Robert Sterling, my hands slightly trembling. Robert Sterling looked bewildered. I don't know. Can you give me some time to think? What a huge romantic fool. Even after all this, he still needed time to think. I gave him a thumbs up. For the Sterling family to have him was the worst luck imaginable. I asked faintly, so, is this wedding ceremony still happening? Grandma Eleanor Sterling suddenly walked over from the side and grabbed my hand, not letting go. Yes, it must happen. You are the granddaughter-in-law I approved of, and you must enter my Sterling family's door. I have another grandson who is a doctor. He doesn't like business, only academic research. Sarah, do you want to switch grooms? I didn't expect something like this to be possible. Wealthy people know how to play. I tried hard to pull out a smile. Grandma Eleanor Sterling, does he have a first love he can't forget? I'm truly scared. Grandma Eleanor Sterling shook her head repeatedly. No, he only likes reading. He's just a bookworm/academic type. That's good, then. He likes books, I like money. We were a perfect match. Grandma Eleanor Sterling smiled and looked at the man who was reading below the stage. Ethan, come up quickly. Grandma found you a wife. Grandma Eleanor Sterling sighed. Sarah, look. Everyone is watching the show. With drama, only he is still reading. Don't dislike him. You'll still get a $50,000 allowance every month. That was great. I could dislike anyone, but I would never dislike a $50,000 monthly allowance. As long as he stays out of trouble, that's fine. Besides, reading is quite good. It's his strength. I secretly peeked. He was very handsome, much more handsome than Robert Sterling. Heh, I hit the jackpot. The man stood beside Grandma Eleanor Sterling. He adjusted his glasses, his voice cool. Grandma, I told you I'm never getting married. There is beauty in books. Why would I need a wife? Reading is more enjoyable than a wife. Okay. No wonder I wasn't set up with him before. I didn't say anything, just looked eagerly at Grandma Eleanor Sterling. Grandma Eleanor Sterling snorted coldly. If you don't agree, I'll cancel all your research funding. Ethan Sterling panicked. Don't do that. It's just a wife, isn't it? I agree, okay? He pointed at Robert Sterling, but can he agree? Grandma Eleanor Sterling looked coldly at Richard Sterling and Carol Sterling. Robert Sterling's mood had improved significantly. He asked, bewildered, we already agreed to a 3-person wedding ceremony. She's marrying me. Did you know? AIDS is much better than cancer. As long as she takes good care of herself, Emily can live for a long time. Medical science is so advanced now. Maybe in a few years, this disease can be cured. Was he even speaking sense? I didn't expect him to be so shameless. I almost couldn't stop myself from slapping him a few times. Slap, slap, slap. Loud slapping sounds rang out. Robert Sterling covered his face and looked at Richard Sterling angrily. Why did you hit me? Sarah didn't even object. This was a decision we three made together. If you agree to let me marry Emily, that would be best. I want to give her the best life. I want to stay in the Sterling fam. And contribute to the Sterling family. No wonder he changed his tune so suddenly. It must have been Emily influencing him. Now he wanted to have his cake and eat it too. Grandma Eleanor Sterling looked at them coldly. No. If you choose her, you cannot stay in the Sterling family. If you don't agree, I will make you agree on your knees. Robert Sterling, the Sterling family has given up on you. You are not the only option. Your father can still work for decades. Richard Sterling's face was full of dark lines. Robert Sterling looked shocked. Then, under everyone's gaze, he was forcibly removed from the hotel by security. I smoothly switched grooms at the wedding ceremony. I have to say, I was quite satisfied. That night, we slept separately. I slept on the bed, and he slept on the floor. Indeed, it wasn't easy to marry into a wealthy family, and it wasn't easy to get a good deal. 6 months later, he asked me with a bewildered look, why aren't you pregnant yet? We're already sharing a bed. So, there were people in this world who were that ignorant. I gave him a website, and then I didn't leave the bed for half a month. Richard Sterling didn't want to work, and Ethan Sterling only wanted to be a doctor, so I had to have a baby. Grandma Eleanor Sterling said $10 million for one child. I thought I could have 12 children. 2 months later, I was pregnant. I heard Emily had a miscarriage, and her health was getting worse. Robert Sterling lost his job at Sterling Enterprises, and their life got worse and worse. They often argued. He wanted to break up with Emily, but Emily refused to leave. The two were stuck together.